Hi guys, Andy N, spoken label, back in the house on a Wednesday evening. It's been a lovely peaceful day today, actually. All I've done is gone to the gym and I had a disgusting bacon putty at lunchtime, so it was great. So top of a nice, wonderful day. I've got a gentleman with me today for spoken label, of course. And we haven't met this gentleman before yet, but we will be because he's in an anthology we're both in later this year, and I'm hoping we get to meet in person. So Aqeel, obviously, over to you, mate. This is about you, not me today. So, the people that don't know you, then, first of all, tell us a bit about yourself and where all your creativity came
from. Name's Aqeel. I'm a poet from Leeds. Occasionally make collages.
Oh.
But yeah, occasionally, but purely a poet. Really doing a lot of spoken word as well recently, so could add a label, say I'm a spoken word performer. But yeah, published like 9 or 10 chapbooks. Been published in kind of lots of places in print. Paper and Ink Zine is a famous one. Muskeg Mag, back Patio Press, just a bunch of places really. I don't keep track. And then yeah, a bunch online and in print. Living in Leeds at the moment, but studied up in Manchester for 3 years. And all my family are from Bradford, but yeah, Leeds feels like home at the moment. And then you said, where'd my creativity start? I guess as a kid, I loved reading that in school, like, and I was like amongst the lads and stuff, but like at break time and lunchtime for like a 2-3 year period, I would be in the library reading all them books, you know, the Cherub books and the Alex Riders and all them.
Oh yeah.
And that's where it started. But no one in my family read, like I know a lot of my mates that like poets read a lot. You know, they had like Charles Dickens and that in their grandma's bookshelf, and they just picked it up and read some like classics at the age of 12. But yeah, none of my family. My mum would tell me off for reading it. If I was like, go to bed, she said, why are you reading these books? But yeah, I was always into reading. Never really wrote much, to be fair. In school, I was good at English, got good grades, but it was more that like I knew how to use all the devices and that. But I don't think any of it was actually good. And then last year of uni, I finally I got like Jack Kerouac's On the Road, Cliche, and Kowski's. Actually, we started with 1984. Edit on my phone. Got some dodgy download of that.
I like it, mate. Listen, what I know of Orwell would have probably approved that, mate, if he'd been alive.
And then I got Bukowski's Post Office and On the Road. And I started reading again, and then I saw these Instagram posts, and they were like 3-line things, and I'm like, I could do that. So I started posting, and I probably at that point thought I was good, but I was fucking terrible. But I just kept doing it, and you know, as I went on, just the poems got better, and I just couldn't stop just from like making to-do lists, like journal me on kind of madness, or yeah, just eventually kept writing, got good, sent stuff out to publishers, and so the story goes, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's tremendous. Like you've had you've so many chapbooks published, you've lost count, and I just love that. I do. That's the same sort of disorganization I've done. To honest, I've done 9 full-length books and a couple of chapbooks myself and a couple of split books, and you just lose when you've done so many. Sometimes you lose count, don't you? That's the thing with it. So
yeah, I'm always looking to the next thing, so I never kind of rest on my laurels. I was just kind of raised like that when parents were just Asian parents. You know, you get an A and they come home and they'd be like, why didn't you get an A star? You'd go to parents team, they'd be like, all good across the board. And that one teacher was like, oh, he talks a bit in lesson, and she just tell you about that on the way home. So yeah, never really rest on my laurels. But as I've got older, I've like tried to appreciate more what I'm actually doing, like, because a book really does mean a lot. And when you look back on it, it's like, fucking hell, that's pretty really good thing I did there. So yeah, as you get a bit older, I think you appreciate it more. Yeah,
you do, definitely that one. I've got to ask you now, and I could draw a comparison myself here, because I bought my first full-length book out 13 years ago now, and that shocks me how long ago that was. But have you found then over time, like with obviously all these collections you've done, how has your work changed or developed over time? So it would have done. I know mine has. I'm interested to learn about your journey.
I guess at the start I was very influenced by Bukowski. I think a lot of writers are. Just his style is so direct and kind of
Yeah.
deceptively simple. You read it and think, I could do that. I devoured all his books, like all his poetry collections, like unpublished manuscripts. I've like read 15 of his books. I've read like even his books of letters. I guess how my style has changed. I don't know. I'm not really good at analyzing my own work, but what I've noticed is obviously my taste of reading has developed beyond Bukowski. Like I've read more books, I've read more poets. Um, it was very kind of self-confessional at the start. I was writing a lot about myself, and then through my experiences, and then but I hadn't really lived enough, so I had to live more. So I had so much to write about, and then went through a period like during that lockdown period, and I had a breakup and that, and I kind of hated myself, and I just didn't want to write self-confessional poetry anymore. I started writing more kind of metaphorical stuff with a tiny bit of myself in there. It was more looking outwards than inwards. And Bai Dao, a Chinese poet, if you've heard him, he was quite influential over that time. Read like 2 or 3 of his books. He's still alive, yeah, Bai Dao. I think I'm pronouncing that right. He got a bit more metaphorical, read like more different types of poetry, and then I guess the past year or two have got. I think you're always trying to find your own voice. You're trying to get as much as yourself into the poems as possible. And it's very difficult to do. I think humor is difficult to write. And I think what I've got into the poems more is a sense of place, like a sense of England. Like the poems now are very English or
Yeah.
Yorkshire or Manchester.
Yeah. Yeah. I can relate to
You've
that.
got like spatterings of slang and stuff, like you said. And yeah, I think as you develop as a person, you'd hope to develop as a writer.
I think you have
Like,
to as a writer. You're like,
yeah,
yeah, I've seen your work. I agree with you in that, because I think as poets, if you try standing still your experiences, it reflects in your work. I think your work can get very sterile very, very
yeah,
quickly if
yeah,
you're careful. Yeah, no, I've done that because I think my poetry itself, and I think yours is similar to what I can see, is my poetry has reflected my experience in life as it's changed. And you're right, writing comedy is an absolute. Since you've sworn it's going to be 18 this podcast, I'm now going to swear. Trying to write comedy is a fucking ball ache.
yeah.
I can do it in flash fiction, and I'm really good at that. But poetry, I've never mastered it properly.
Yeah, like I'm funny in real, like it's just because I'm always making jokes and stuff in real life. Love laughing and making people laugh, and I was like, I just can't. It just doesn't come across. And the worst is when you do a poetry reading and like no one laughs at the line that you thought was funny, and you're like,
Yeah, I've had that. I've had that
mate,
before now.
it's
Yeah,
like being a stand-up comic for a second, you know, mate. Their job's terrible. Got to go,
yeah,
but you get more laughs. But
yeah,
and then sometimes people will laugh at someone that's not even, or you didn't mean to be funny, but yeah, it's
yeah.
just kind of
I've
like
that as
trying to
well.
get your own personality. If you're like a miserable bastard, like it will reflect somewhat in your poems. But if you've got like a balanced, what I try and get is, because I can be a miserable bastard, but I always feel there's a little bit of light in the poems. Yeah, try
Yeah,
to get a little bit of light in there always, because like I don't believe in being miserable as a person. I'm always laughing as well. And then the comedy, I'm not sure if I'm there yet, but yeah, it's a process, I guess, maybe.
yeah. It's always like you say, don't you? That your
Yeah,
writing is, as the saying goes on the back of Scott Walker album, Scott 4, and I'll just dig the quote up now, that I think summed both you and me up, but I'll just try and find it. 1 second.
yeah, yeah. Scott
It's
Walker.
yeah,
Name rings a bell.
the 60s singer, the 60s singer.
Right.
That there quote. I can't find it. I'll send it over to you based on back of
Yeah,
our
yeah,
album. And it summed us both of us up completely. 1 second. There we are, got it. A man's work is nothing but the slow trek to rediscover through the detours of art those 2 or 3 and simple images in which his presence is first, his heart first opened. And I like that because it shows, like, I think it definitely applies to you as well, this, where as a writer, you're often moving on, but there's always 2 or 3 things that I think keep reappearing in your work, whether it's conscious
yeah,
or not.
yeah, yeah. There's just parts of yourself
Yeah.
you just can't erase who you are really, and that I guess a lot of writing for me, the way it's just like almost like automatic writing. I saw someone write that it's just impulse, like it's just pure. Obviously, I edit stuff as well sometimes, but I feel like the best ones are the ones that give me the most joy. I just those pure impulse ones. I'm like, where the fuck did that come
Yeah,
from? It's
yeah,
almost as if it
completely.
fell from the sky. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds where you're thinking, I'm a fucking genius, me. and then you'll look back at one the next day and you'll be like, fuck yeah, what are you even talking about here? That's just terrible, isn't it? But
Yeah,
yeah,
I find
yeah.
you find as well when you've got like poetry events, because I've got, you wouldn't know this, but I've got a couple of bands on the go at the moment with spoken word artists. One of them is my wife, and one's my friend Polly, who lives in Huddersfield. And I'm going to name and shame her now, because she loves me anyway for this, or the work. She sent over a piece to me, because her and her partner have just come back from Japan for a month, and they've done a 12-hour
All
flight they have, and she spent 12 hours writing this poem out. And I'm just sat there thinking, bloody hell. I thought, like, that's a long time. It showed the work she put into that. I mean, it's like, I tend to do poetry writing bursts. If I don't get the piece done quickly, I'll then, and I think you must be the same, where it'll go backwards and forwards for weeks and months sometimes, but about 20 or 30 drafts so I get it right.
Yeah, that has happened. Or like there's sometimes I just feel like scalpel. I just feel like shaving away bits and just taking and maybe adding a line, and it's almost like it's never finished. But I think that's more rare. I think most of my writing is quite impulsive, and then there'll be small changes like I'll have missed a word
Yeah,
or
same
so,
thing.
or like adding punctuation, but the poem, like the meat of it is already there, really just kind of cutting the fat in a way.
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah. So,
but there's
no.
something to that kind of scalp, like shaving off little bits and kind of like a sculpture, right? Really working on it. I don't know if I could do 12 hours straight, but
Oh no,
yeah,
it's crazy, isn't it? So, like I said, but it's absolute crazy. Honest to God, you just don't know how people do it sometimes. Like
yeah.
I said, but like I said, I couldn't do it. To be honest, with you. I really couldn't operate at that sort of pace. It would just, my head
No.
would be absolutely fried by the end of it. Definitely. So, now I was interested to read, because I always always like asking people what they've got coming up next. But before we do that, because I know you've got a couple of chapbooks on the way, and I want to talk about these the projects. But I know obviously as well from Caitlin, because Caitlin referred you over to me in the first place, and thank you, Caitlin, for that as well. Before we start,
Shout out
yeah,
Caitlin.
yeah, I love Caitlin from her session's not out with spoken level yet, but it will be shortly. She also told me about Bone Down, which obviously you're one of the committee members of. So I want to
Yeah.
learn, obviously, about your involvement with Bone Down and how you came involved in this project.
Um, how did I become involved? I think I'm not sure. I think I was just Googling or I was on Instagram and I think someone posted it on their story or something that was happening like in the park or something. The first one, I don't even remember where it was now. But I just went along by myself because I'd done a few readings before lockdown in and around Leeds. I hadn't read for ages, and then I was like, I was probably just stuck in the house and that, just a bit miserable. I was like, let's get out, get the portrait, read some poems. So I went down, read. I remember where it was now. Yeah, I can't remember the place, but it's in my mind. But yeah, I just went down and read, and yeah, I liked it. Thought it was good, and read the poems, and it seemed like a quite an intimate poetry night outdoors, somewhat different. And
Yeah, I remember Caitlin also told me about that when I spoke to her a couple of weeks ago, and I thought that's a
yeah,
great way that he's just doing like motor. I don't think you're doing indoor ones. You most do outdoor gigs, don't you yourselves? And I thought
yeah,
that's brilliant.
yeah, mostly outdoor gigs, very intimate. I would say I've not been to that many poetry nights, but I've been to a few. I would say the most intimate poetry night in Leeds in terms of atmosphere, in terms like I think poetry. If you're doing like a big place, it's very difficult. Like some venues are too big. You almost like no microphone, everyone gathered around is almost better. I think it's more human. I don't know, but yeah. And then I kept going to the Born Downs every month, and then at some point they put a call out. They were like, I think Caitlin was doing it all by herself, the mastermind behind the operation, and then yeah, she put the call out for committee members, and I think honestly, I was unemployed at that time on the dole,
Hmm.
so I was like, someone to do, man. So and I liked the project, and I've been around like poetry, putting me flowers or whatever the phrase is. I've been publishing for a long time, and I was like, yeah, just join the committee, and then mate, strength to strength every month. We've just put out a call for submissions for the zine.
I saw that. I did see that, yeah, because
yeah,
good luck with that.
Yeah, and as we go on, I'm trying to take more and more responsibility, I guess, you know, as and when I can. And the zine, I'll be like the lead editor or something for that. But we've got like everyone in the committee is doing certain roles for that, yeah. But I've got a bit of like experience with making my own chapbooks and submitting to a lot of places and a bit of editing, so I should make myself useful with that, yeah.
No, good stuff,
Yeah.
good stuff, mate. Good stuff with it. Obviously, then with Bone, we'll talk about obviously before we go back to your books. Then obviously, I want to talk about then. I'll start wrapping up this section side of it anyway. Certainly, about what plans do you have going forward for Bone Down? Is there anything else you can reveal at the moment? Yes, from your side of things, anyway.
We're open for zine submissions. We're doing it every month, so the next one will be outdoors somewhere in Leeds again. We're also looking to get on. We don't want to be too big. That's the whole ethos, is to keep it small, community minded, word of mouth kind of based. But we did like a covers event at Hyde Park Book Club. There's many plans. We do socials as well every month. Bit of a chance for like everyone else to get to know each other, because it's hard at a poetry reading really to talk to each other.
Yeah.
So we're doing one in the park coming up soon after the students have their exams. We're doing like a little picnic social in the park. There'll be like hiking and maybe read some poetry.
Oh, that's good.
There's like talks of a festival. Yeah. There's many things. The zine. There'll be a music event as well with jamming, some musicians and music. But you know, as you've probably heard and probably know yourself, it's hard funding all that. So we're trying to get funding. We're trying to do as much as we can. Yeah. But
good luck, man. Definitely. Now, obviously, from the bio that I've read up on you, and this is probably hopeless out of date already. I get that. We get that for you talking to Aqeel. Definitely, you're a busy man like I am. So I know you've got at least 3 chapbooks on the go at the moment, or is it even more?
There's more. So the 3 that you mentioned.
I knew it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't published for like 2 years. I haven't sent anything off, so I've gathered a big body of work, and I'm lazy, so I don't really want to self-publish it. The last one I did, I self-published, and like it's hard getting rid of copies, and I'm not good at promoting, so it's easy to do with the publisher, and I can almost help with the promoting side. So I'm doing 3 collaborations at the moment. So I'll go through them quickly. One of them is with McKenna.
Caitlin,
not sure
brilliant.
Yeah, so we're doing a book of sex poems. 7 from me.
What I know about Caitlin, that doesn't surprise me. That sorry, Caitlin.
I think Caitlin's tame compared to mine.
Yeah. So she's done the nice ones. You've done the raunchy ones, have you then?
Mine are just pure debauchery, just absolute filthy. Some of them, like, I've read them back. I'm like, Jesus Christ, man! Just like, but she asked for sex poems. I was like, should we put like a love element in here? Do you want like some love poems, maybe? And it's just pure. For some of them, just pure filth. But there's some humor in them. There's some comedy. I hope that comes across.
Good man.
Then Caitlin, they're doing. We're working on that. That's going to be with Ben Key. Tentatively announcing that. I'm not sure. Yeah. This is
exclusive.
Yeah, that's an exclusive. A shout out to Benki as well. Nice people. Met them at in Manchester.
We love Rebecca. I love Rebecca because Rebecca's guest hosted a night I co-run called Speakeasy in Cholton with Amanda, my wife, and often Steve Smythe. She's guest hosted it twice, and we love Rebecca. So love it. Great people.
Small world, this poetry world. Small world. Next collaboration is with another heavy hitter, a legend of the literary underground, Martin Appleby. He runs Paper and Ink Zine.
I've heard of him,
and I've been publishing that, and we've known each other for years, and he's always supported me work, even from my first chapbook, and he's got a lot of my chapbooks, and I love his work as well. I've grown to love his work more and more over the years as I've got older, and I loved his recent one. So we're collaborating on that. We just got an acceptance yesterday. I was at Born Down when I got the email acceptance. So that's pretty sick. We were doing that with Backroom Poetry. They've put out 10 chapbooks so far, small press, very good. I like what they're doing so far. Check them out on Instagram, Backroom Poetry. That'll be out in November. We've got a date for that. And then I'm doing another collaboration with a fella from Kentucky, Kane.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I love that because I love this show called Justified, and it's set in Harlan, Kentucky. And he sends me like videos of himself driving in the car just to give me updates on him working on the book. And he's got some like proper country music in the background, sound lad, and he's just the accent, everything. And I love his poetry. And I actually wanted to publish him. I thought of starting a press because he would release all this work on his Instagram and he hadn't published anything. And then eventually he did get published. Between Shadows Press. Shout out to Tom Bacallis from America. He published him. And yeah, we're doing a collaboration. I think it's going to be 2 Key Customs. One of my chapbooks, Steve Zimajewski. Hope I'm getting that right. Down in New Jersey, we did a collaboration. He published that. 2 Key Customs. They've just dropped a load of chapbooks. Check them out. Hopefully, we're doing it with 2 Key Customs. I'm not sure when that'll be out, though. And then the big project I'm working on, the 4th one. Jeez, I'm fucking getting bored of myself here. The 4th one I'm working on is a full length. I'm working on a full length collection.
Ooh.
I'll have around 100 poems in the end to put in that. That'll try and make that like the magnum opus. I was trying to get every poem I've ever done in there, but I think that's too big a task, really. I've got a few publishers that I'm like eyeing up, but I'm not sure who that's going to be with. Should be finished soon. I'll try and get finished by the end of this month or end of May, even, or mid-May, and then I'll probably be out looking at their schedules with these places like 2024 or something. It takes a while.
Minimum is some of these big ones can take an awful amount of time, definitely with that. So
yeah.
no, I agree with you completely.
Mid-level one. Yeah, that mid-level publisher. Obviously, Faber and all them a bit out the sights, aren't they, to be honest? But
at the moment, no, I would say not out your sights. I would say out your sights at the moment.
Poet Laureate of Bradford, mate, or Yorkshire.
Yeah, no, Poet Laureate of the Northwest. That's better, right? Aim big, aim higher. I'm a firm believer, mate. You know.
Yorkshire Bukowski. Yeah, they would never have me. Too offensive, mate. Too offensive.
I've just read a book actually. I'm going to take that off mic in a minute, so I'm not going to name it because I know who wrote by an anonymous. That's your cup of tea, I think. So we'll come on to that in a minute. So anyway, listen, mate. We'll wrap up part 1. I want to let you get time to read a few pieces today, Aqeel. I've really enjoyed this today, but you've been great fun to chat to.
Cheers, man. You as well.
Okay, give us the, as I always say, the hard sell then. Where can people get hold of some of your publications then, if they're still available? I don't know what's available.
Yeah, most of them are out of print or sold out, like nearly all of them. But I did a new one with Footprint Workers Co-op. I just self-published it. It's called Cartoon Suicides. Sort of like a concept album.
Great.
Yeah, good name in it. Good name. Kind of just about. It's in 10 parts. It's very depressed at the time.
I think with that title, I think you can tell that. Saying I always is no shit Sherlock. Definitely.
Yeah. But like there was many thoughts of like suicide as well. Like you always joke about it and I should kill myself, all this, but there was like I was a bit more. I shouldn't have been, but there was a bit more. And then I just had this dream once. I was like, what if you just went to sleep and you could fucking get killed in any way, in your dream. You could get like fucking cut in half by a samurai, or it was just all these imaginings, but it was like an absurdist look at it, a humorous look at that, at suicide. Like, as always, try and make light or humor of any situation. Everything is material and comedy. And I just wrote a lot of it in bed in 10 parts. It was really fun to write. If anyone wants to get it, Instagram at ap.writer. Just shoot us a DM and I'll post it out to you. It's a $5 or $7.50 depending on how I'm feeling.
That means depends how much depends what mood you're in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and the postage will be very slow and get it to you.
No, that's all I'm going to say. Definitely on that one, mate. Brilliant. Okie dokie, mate. We'll wrap up part 1 then. So We shall be back in 2 minutes. I'm looking forward to hearing some of Aqeel's sex poetry. Definitely in the second half.
You set me up to read that. I wasn't even going to read
No,
them.
don't. I don't want to get this podcast pulled down.
I want family friendly stuff.
See you all in 2 minutes, guys. Thanks again, mate.